Hello everyone, this is Gracie here. In this video, we'll be discussing problem 3.13. B Limited manufactures product A which yields two byproducts B and C. The actual joint expenses of manufacture for a period were rupees 8,000. It was estimated that profits on each product as a percentage of sales would be 30%, 25% and 15% respectively. Subsequent expenses were material direct wages and overheads, and there are three processes A, B and C. So material, direct wages, overheads. So they have given material and direct wages and overheads for process A, process B, and for product A, product B and product C, and they have given sales. Prepare a statement showing the apportionment of joint expenses of manufacture over different products. Also assume that selling expenses are apportioned over the products as a percentage of sales. So they have asked us to prepare a statement showing the joint expenses, showing apportionment of a joint expenses. So we have learned joint product and what are the different methods of joint product. So we will be using mostly the net realizable or reversible method of joint process costing. So now how is it net reversible is sales minus profit, then you get the cost. From that cost you will minus all your selling expense. From selling expense you will minus your subsequent expenses. A subsequent expenses is the expenses which is incurred for the separation, that is during the time of split off in the sense dividing the joint products into the products with two or more products which are produced with the raw material into different segregation to find out the per unit cost. So that is your subsequent expenses. Then as they have given your joint products A, B, C, and they've given your subsequent expenses. This is the expenses which is incurred after the split off point, and they've given us sales. So they have asked us to find out what is, prepare a statement showing apportionment of joint expenses of a manufacturer over the different products. Also presume that selling expenses are apportioned over the product as a percentage of sales. So what they have asked is to find out what is the actual cost which is incurred for product A, B and C. So let us get into the solution. So statement of apportionment of joint cost. So as I've told, it is we usually use for joint cost, the most familiar method what we use is reversible cost method, which is nothing but also called as net realizable method. So under this method, sales minus profit we will get total cost. From the total cost you will minus selling expense, and then we will get cost of production. From cost of production you will minus subsequent expenses, then you get share in joint expense. So it is a reverse method. Usually what will be your method? Initial cost, that is your basic cost. From that is material, labor and direct materials, all your direct expenses will be your first cost. With that you will minus your factory expense, then you minus all your other expenses, factory expense, then you get your cost of production. After you get your cost of production, you will add up first you will have your total cost. With that total cost you will add up your factory cost. After adding up your factory cost you will get your cost of production. With your cost of production you will add up your selling and expenses, then you incur to your total cost, then you will add up your profit. Then when you add your cost plus profit you will get the selling price. But in this we will find out what is the total cost which is incurred by following the reverse method. Usually in such problems they give the selling price, the information about the profit, in order to find what is the cost which is incurred before separation, what will be the exact cost which will be incurred before separation. So now as in the problem they have given the sales for different products. So there are three products A, B and C. They have given sales. So in the question they have given sales which is 6,000, 4,000 and 2,500 is the sales what they have given in the problem. So we will be taking the sales. So sales for all the three products A, B, C, and the total column where we show what is the total cost for these products, which is there here. For sales is 6,000, 4,000 and 2,500. The total cost is 12,500. So next we will minus profit profit to find out what is the total cost. So what is the profit information which is given in the problem is, profit is, it was estimated that the profit on each product as a percentage of sales would be 30%, 25% and 15%. So how much is your sales? 6,000. So 6,000 into 20% is your profit percentage. What is given here? 30% for A, 25% for B, 15% for C. So 6,000 into 30 percentage for A. 30 percentage will give you 1,800. Then 4,000 into, what is the percentage? 25% into 25% for B will give you 1,000. Then you have 15 percentage, 2,500 into 15 percentage will give you 375. So profit is a certain percentage of sales which is given in the question. So you minus your sales minus your profit, you will get your total cost. So from your total cost, what you have got? 4,200, 3,000 and 2,125. You will minus your selling expenses. So have they given the selling expenses in the problem? No. They have stated, prepare a statement showing the apportionment of joint expense of manufacture over the different products. Also presume that selling expenses are apportioned over the products as a percentage of sales. So as a percentage of sales, the selling expenses has been apportionated, but they have not given the selling expenses in this problem. So what is the selling expense? So as there is no selling expenses given in the problem, we will be finding out how to calculate it. So working note, selling expenses are not given in the question. They are calculated as follows. So as this is reverse cost sheet, or it is net realizable cost joint product costing method. So it goes in a reverse order. So now we have sales, we have got profit, we have got total cost. Next is, we should minus selling expenses, only then we will get cost of production. Then with cost of production, from cost of production, you will minus all your subsequent expenses. Subsequent expenses is an expense which is incurred after separation, or after at this time of split off, or during the time of which is usually incurred, or the costs which are incurred after the separation or split off point. After the separation or split off point, this is usually the expenses like direct materials, labors, which is nothing but direct expenses which is used in the production activity. So now we need to find out the selling expenses. So usually when we prepare a cost sheet, we prepare the cost sheet first. We take all materials, labor, all your direct expenses. The total of it will give prime cost. With prime cost, we will add up your factory expenses, then we get a cost of production. With cost of production, we will add up office administration and selling and distribution, then we get our total cost. Then we add profit, then we get sales. So as we are going in the reverse order, we need to know what is the selling expense. So we can easily find out the selling expense if you remember the format. According to the format, when will we come to the cost of production stage? When we add from direct material, direct labor, we get a total of prime cost. Prime cost plus factory expenses will give you works cost or cost of production. It is also known as cost of production. So this is actual manufacturing work that it is incurred in factory as well as the materials. So till prime costs are materials, goods and labor charges, which is incurred in factory expense. Next, your factory overheads are the activities which is engaged in manufacturing that product. So factory expense and prime costs are which belongs to your cost of production. As it belongs to cost of production, next we will have selling and distribution expenses, then you will get your total cost. So here, as we are going in reverse order, we have got your total cost. So sales, reverse order, we have got sales plus profit. In your regular format, you get your selling distribution, then you will add from your selling and distribution, you get total cost, you will add profit, you will get selling price. Here we are going in a reverse order, where selling price is top, then you will minus your profit, you've got your total cost. Then you need to minus your selling expense to get your cost of production. then after getting your cost of production, you need to minus your all your direct expenses, that is labor, materials. Then you will get your actual cost of then you will get your initial cost, that is your um, cost which is incurred, starting cost which is incurred for the production. So as it is, that is the format: sales minus profit, you've got total cost. With total cost, if you minus your selling expense, you will get cost of production. So do we have any information about cost of production in the problem? Yes. So now your total cost as calculated above, you have got the total cost for ABC. What you have got is 9,325. So 9,325 is your total cost. If we minus the cost of production according to the format, if you understand the format, if you go in a regular order, if you minus cost of production, you will get your selling expenses. So total cost is 9,325 less cost of production. So what is the cost of production incurred is, in the question they have clearly stated that the actual joint expenses of a manufacturer for a period were rupees 8,000. So for that period, the manufacturing expenses for joint expenses is for manufacturer is 8,000. So 8,000 is your manufacturing expenses for the product, as well as you have other subsequent expenses, which is material, direct wages, and overheads, which is known as subsequent expenses, which is 650. So all these items are used in factory for manufacturing the product. So this also includes in your cost of production. So manufacturing expense as well as the other materials which is used for producing the product comes under cost of production. So total cost minus cost of production will give you the selling expenses. So your 8,000 is manufacturing expenses plus 100, 200, 150. The total of it is 450, and for B it is 325, and for C it is 150. So that is your cost of production. So we will add up your cost of production: 8,000 manufacturing expenses plus 450 of A's subsequent expenses plus 325 of B's subsequent expenses plus 150 of C's subsequent expenses will give you the total 8,925. So the total cost as per the table what we have prepared, and less cost of production as per the calculation, which is 8,925, minus total cost minus cost of production will give you selling expenses, which is 400. So selling expenses is 400. So now as we have told, selling expenses is apportioned to different products A, B, C based on the percentage of sales. So based on the percentage of sales. So now your selling expenses as a percentage of sales, you can either use cross multiplication or you can use a formula, which is selling expense divided by sales into 100, or it is nothing but a cross multiplication. For 12,500 it is 100%. Then for 400, what is the percentage? So 400 in 400 divided by 12,500 into 100. That or you can either way do the calculation. So cross multiplication is also same. So for 12,500 it is 100%. Then for 400, what is it? A question mark. So cross multiply 400 into 100 divided by 12,500, which will give you 3.20. As they have told in the question, selling expense as a percentage to sales. So out of 12,500, a certain percentage is 400. So what is that percentage? That percentage is 3.20. So now for the total selling expense what you have got is 400. So now as we have found out the percentage 3.20, so now we have the sales for each product A, B and C. So 6,000 into 3.20 will give you 192. 4,000 into 3.20 will give you 128. 2,500 into 3.20 will give you 80. The same way 12,500 into 3.20 percentage would give you 400. So this is your selling expense. So the total is total cost plus minus selling expense will give you your cost of production, which is 4,008 for A, and for B it is 2,872. For C it is 2,045. So the total is total for ABC is 8,925. So next is less subsequent expenses. So subsequent expenses is an expense which is incurred after separation or at the split end point. or at the split end point. So what are your subsequent expenses is material, labor and other expenses. So the total of material, labor for and other expenses for A is 450, which is there in the question. So which is 450, total of material, direct wages and overhead, which is 450 for A, 325 for B, and for C it is 150. How did you get 450? 100 plus 200 plus 150. How did you get 325? 75 plus 125 plus 125, which will give you 325. Then for C, 25 plus 50 plus 75, which will give you 150. So that this way we can find out our subsequent expenses, where we have got 450, 325 and 150 is your subsequent expenses. So we will minus that to get your share in joint cost. So now when we minus 4008 minus 450, you will get 3558. Then 2872 minus 325, you will get 2547. So 2045 minus 150, you will get 1895. The same way the total of A, B, C will be 925. So the total cost of production 8925 minus 925 will give you 8000. So this is your actual manufacturing expenses for A plus B plus C products, and the apportionment is also shown in this table. So this is the method to apportionate your joint products for apportioning joint products from your main from the overall production cost. This apportionment can be used. This is known as reverse costing method for finding out what is the cost of a share in the joint cost for of each product. So the next problem what we are going to discuss is problem 3.14. Problem 3.14. In manufacturing the main product A, a company processes the resulting waste material in two byproducts M1 and M2. Using the method of working back from sales value to an estimated cost, you are required to prepare a comparative profit and loss statement of the three products from the following data. Total cost up to separation point was rupees 1,36,000. Sales all production for A, M1 and M2. So A is your main product, M1 and M2 is your byproduct. So the main product sales value is 3,28,000. The byproducts what you have got from the main product M1, M2 is 32,000 and 48,000. Costs after separation is 9,600, 14,400. Estimated net profit percentage to sales value 20%, and for M2 it is 30%. Estimated selling expenses as percentage of sales value, for A it is 20%, for M1 it is 20%, for M2 it is 20%. So let us get into the calculation, and I will be clearly explaining how to solve this problem. Solution. So this is the solution part. We are going to prepare statement of apportionment of joint cost. So still now we have not come across byproducts. So in this problem we will come across the calculation of byproducts. So how byproducts are differentiated, and how are you going to find out what is the cost of your byproduct from your main product. The other problems what we have discussed till now, it is joint products. So how joint products are of the same raw material, and what is the cost we have. We have done the statement of apportionment based on that. The byproduct apportionment is will be done or solved in this problem, that is 3.14. So now we first calculate the statement of apportionment of M1 and M2, because in the question they have given the total cost, that is the total cost of A, M1 and M2 is, they've given total cost up to separation point was 1,36,000. Then they've given sales separate for M1, M2 and 3,28,000 for A, the main product. Then cost after separation is given 9,600, 14,400. That is the cost which is incurred after dividing the main product and the two byproducts. The cost what is incurred is given. But what is the cost which is incurred from the beginning? That is from the beginning, that is before separation. So what is the cost incurred for A, M1 and M2? But they have given here the cost of cost up to separation point. But what is the cost for this byproduct as well as the A product we are supposed to find out. This is the total cost for A, M1 and M2. So what is the cost for A, M1, M2? That is before separation or up to the separation point we need to find out. So that is why we are going to solve statement of apportionment of joint cost. So here we have two byproducts M1 and M2. So the total cost what is given in the question is 1,36,000. In this M1 and M2 shares are there, the cost which is incurred by M1 and M2. So that is what you are going to find out in this calculation. So now as they have stated in the question, in manufacturing the main product A company processes the resulting waste material into two byproducts M1 and M2. Using the method of working back from sales value to an estimated cost, you are required to prepare comparative profit and loss statement for the three products from the following data. So what they have stated in the question is they are given the data, that is A is the main product. The wastage of A which led to the production of byproducts M1 and M2 using the method of working back of sales, that is reverse method, that is reverse cost method, where from sales you will minus all the costs and to find out what is the estimated cost. By using that method, after you get the cost of each byproduct and main product, you are supposed to prepare comparative profit and loss statement. That is what they have asked. So for that we need to know first, before for a product to be compared, we need to know what is the cost for each product. So we are going to find out what is the cost. So we will prepare statement of apportionment of joint cost. So now as the reverse cost method we are going to use, it is nothing but sales minus all your expenses to find out the estimated cost. So now the two byproducts are M1 and M2. So what is the cost if we find out for these two byproducts? We will get automatically the cost for A. So sales value for M1 and M2 is given in the problem, which is sales for M1 is 32,000 and for M2 it is 48,000. So we will be taking sales value 32,000 and 48,000 less estimated net profit. So we will minus profit to get the cost. That is to get the cost of sales. That is nothing but your total cost. So now estimated net profit, as per the question what is given, estimated net profit percentage of to sales value. So how much is your sales value for M1? 32,000. For M2 it is 48,000. So what is the percentage for M1? 20%. For M2 it is 30%. So now sales value is 32,000. Percentage for M1 is 20% of sales value. So 32,000 into 20% will give you 6,400. And for M2 48,000, percentage of sales value for the profit is 30% of sales value. So 48,000 into 30% will give you 14,400. So now you will minus your sales minus your profit, you will get your total cost. So for M1, 32,000 minus 6,400 will give you 25,600, and for M2, 48,000 minus 14,400 will give you 33,600. So you have got your total cost of sales. Next you will minus your selling expenses. So you need to check whether you have any selling expenses in the problem. So let us get in the question. Yes, they've given estimated selling expenses as a percentage of sales value. So they have stated for A 20%, for M1 20%, for M2 20%. So it is 20% on the sales value. So how much is your sales value in the question? 32,000 and 48,000. So for 32,000 into 20% will give you 6,400. So your selling expenses is a percentage on your sales value. So it is 20% for all the three, main product as well as byproduct. So 6,400 you have got. Then for M2, 48,000 is your sales value into 20% will give you 9,600. So you have got 9,600. Now you will minus your total cost minus selling expenses. You will get your cost of production. So now 25,600 minus selling expense 6,400. You will get 19,200, which is your cost of production for M1, and for M2 it is 33,600 minus 9,600 will give you 24,000. So with this you will minus your subsequent cost or cost after separation which has been incurred. So the cost which is incurred after separation is known as subsequent cost. So you need to minus that cost. So to know what is the cost up to separation. So the cost after separation is included in this sales value, isn't it? So that is why you're minusing cost after separation, or it is also called as subsequent cost. So when you minus this, it will give you the exact cost up to separation, that is before or at the before the separation is made from the main product and the byproducts. So now your cost of after separation is it given in the problem. So here they have given cost after separation is 9,600 and 14,400. So we will minus cost after separation 9,600 and 14,400. So we will get total cost up to separation, which is 9,600. That is 19,200 minus 9,600. You have got 9,600. 24,000 minus 14,400. You have got 9,600. So this is total cost up to separation point. So now what M1's estimated cost and M2's cost is 9,600 and 9,600. So both the costs are 9,600. So what is the total cost is 9,600 plus 9,600, which is 19,200. So as per the question, the total cost up to separation for A, M1 and M2 is 1,36,000. So this 1,36,000 is your total cost. Now you have found out what is the cost for M1 and M2, which is 9,600 and 9,600. So from this total cost 1,36,000, we will minus this 9,600 of M1 and M2 to find out what is the cost only for the main product A. So 1,36,000 minus 9,600 minus again 9,600 of M2, which will give you 1,16,800. So how did you get this 19,200 here is, it is nothing but the total cost as you have found out here by product M1 9,600 and by product M2 9,600. You add 9,600 plus 9,600, you will get the total cost for the byproduct M1 and M2, which is 19,200. As you have stated in the question, the total cost is 1,36,000. 1,36,000 minus 19,200 will give you 1,16,800. So this is the cost which is incurred up to separation, that is before separating the products into different byproduct and with the main product. So what is the cost of A is 1,16,800. So now you know what is the cost of A, that is 1,16,800. You know what is the cost of M1, which is 9,600, and you know what is the cost of M2, which is 9,600. So now we can prepare profit and comparative statement of comparative profit and loss. So let us prepare statement of comparative profit and loss. So particulars, so we'll go in a normal format, that is share in joint stock, joint cost. After separation cost, you will add cost of production, selling expenses, you'll get cost of total cost, then you will add your profit to find out sales. So this was your reverse method to know what is your cost before to separation or before separation. Now comparative profit and loss will go in a flow as usual format, that is cost plus other factory expenses plus advertising expenses plus selling expenses plus profit, and plus profit, you will get your sales. So that format will use to find out comparing your main product, byproduct, and by both the byproducts. So now we have share in joint cost. Main product is 1,16,800. For M1 it is 9,600. For M2 it is 9,600. Next cost is after separation cost. So after separation cost is your after separation cost will be the cost which is given in the question, that is a cost after separation 9,600 and 14,400. So we will add the cost with the share in joint cost plus after separation cost, as this is the total cost what we are calculating. So here we will add after separation cost, that is 9,600 and 14,400. So this is the cost which is spent for dividing or the cost which is spent after dividing the product into main product and by products. So we will add that to find out the total cost. Next we will get cost of production 19,200 for A main product 1,16,800, for M1 19,200, for M2 24,000. Next, with cost of production we will add your selling and distribution expenses, which is given in the question, percentage, that is 20% of the sales value, which I've already calculated here, which is 6,400 and 9,600. Have they given for A the selling expenses? Is it applicable for A also? Just check in the question. So estimated selling expenses as a percentage of sales. Yes, they've assigned 20% for all the three products. So for A as well, selling expenses will be charged 1,16,800 into 20%. Into 20% will give you 23,000. Selling expenses 1,16,800. It is as it is on the sales value. Sales value is given in the question. Just check the question. Sales value for A is 3,28,000. So as it is on the sales value, 3,28,000 into 20% will give you 65,600. So how did you get this 65,600? Is selling expenses is charged on sales value. So what is the sales value for product A? In the question it is sales is 3,28,000. So charge on that. 3,28,000 into 20% will give you 65,600. Then your sales value for M1 is 32,000. 32,000 into 20% will give you 6,400. Then for M2 it is 48,000 into 20% will give you 9,600. So cost of production plus selling expenses will give you the total cost. That is nothing but your cost of sales. So 1,16,800 plus 65,600 will give you 1,82,400. 19,200 plus 6,400 will give you 25,600. 24,000 plus 9,600 will give you 33,600. So this is your cost of sales. So now we will add your profit to get your total sales. So your profit, which you have already calculated, estimated profit is for A they have not given the percentage, but for M1 and M2, which is given 20% and 30%. So for M1 20%, so 20% on what? On sales. So your sales for M1 is 32,000. 32,000 into 20% will give you 6,400. Next 6,400, and for M2 it is for 48,000 into 30%, which will give you 14,400. For M1 and M2, the percentage of sales is given, so we were able to find out what is the profit and for profit for M1 and M2. But for main product A, the percentage of sales is not given. But we have the sales value, which is 3,28,000, which is specified in the question. So 3,28,000 is the sales which is mentioned in the question. We know the cost of sales, which is 1,82,400, and we know what is the total sales, which is 3,28,000. So your total cost of sales, your sales minus your cost, you will get profit. So 3,28,000 minus 1,82,400, you will get 1,45,600. So the profit for main product A is also found out by minusing sales minus the cost which is incurred will give you the profit. So this is a calculation of byproducts from the main products. First you will apportionate the byproducts cost and minus with the total cost which is incurred by the main product. You will get the main products cost as well as the byproducts cost. Then you will prepare a comparative statement to find out what is the profit which you have incurred. So the main product, which has a profit of 1,45,600, byproducts M1 will have 6,400, and the other byproduct M2 will have 14,400. Thank you everyone. The other problems will be discussed in the upcoming videos.